Hello and welcome back to Crimax. Today we are switching it up. We are actually switching roles today. I'm going to be telling you a fun fact, and we're going to have Courtland tell you a fun story. Well, not fun. It's not fun. It's terrible.
No.
But I think it's fun to switch roles. But today we're talking about the murder of Rebecca Schaeffer. So, do you want to tell us anything you know about this after you read our script and everything?
I feel like it's just another Hollywood murder.
Okay, but yeah, usually Hollywood murders are like the spouse does it.
Yeah, but it's either going to be the spouse or it's a stalking. It's usually about 100% of them are one of the two.
There's not that many stalking murders. There's a couple, but it's not
I feel
as
like
common
back
as
in
you
the
think.
day though, not anymore. It's not.
Well, people used to think it came with the gig, you know?
Yeah.
I was also going to do the Playboy Playmate Dorothy Stratton's murder today, but I figured stalking was I was a little different because we do a lot of murders for like people know people who get murdered or it's just regular massacre. I wanted to do one that's like some rando. But anyways, I do have a fun fact for us because it's my job to come up with fun facts today. So the fact I come up with is that Lake Superior, which is the size of South Carolina and also fuck South Carolina. I'm just saying it as a North Carolina resident. I was for like 25 years. North Carolina's superior, South Carolina's trash, but that is the size of Lake Superior. And Lake Superior is really, really cold. It has 3 quadrillion gallons of cold water in it, and the water is so cold that a dead body will never float to the surface because it's never warm enough for it to grow bacteria. It needs to float back up. And I think that's really interesting. And also, how many bodies are in that? Because you know, bones
So
and
it
everything
won't
will,
decay?
like the bacteria and stuff, won't decay enough where your body will pop up and float and bloat. So it's just gonna sink down to the bottom.
Float and bloat.
Float and bloat.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Float and bloat. You know, the old float and boat tool trick, you know? But yeah, it'll never come back up. So I figure if you're gonna murder someone, that's a really good place to do it. Even though I don't even, yeah, I feel like it'd be really hard to throw someone over a cliff.
Yeah, but it's still
willingly.
a safe practice to weigh bodies down.
I guess. I mean, don't murder people, but if you do, that's a place to do it. I don't know why. I always find like stories where like their best friend or you take your wife cliff hiking or something and they push them off.
Cliff hiking.
I don't know. On the side of a cliff, there's like mountains and stuff and you push them off. They're going to find the body. They're going to know you pushed them, you know? But there's tons of those stories. I think they're kind of interesting. But anyways, why don't you tell us the story today?
All right, so I'm gonna be reading this beautiful script.
Yes, I did all the research and everything. I'm just having him read it for me, but he already went over it, so he knows a little bit.
So we'll see how this goes. So Rebecca Schaeffer was born November 6th, 1967 in Eugene, Oregon. Why does
that.
Oregon always have the white people's name?
I don't
like
know.
the
In
old
Eugene?
school white people's name.
Yeah, Eugene? That's like a terrible name.
Is that even a? I mean, I know there are people still named that, but is that even still like a predominant name?
I mean, I don't know anybody young with that name, no. But it's a town now, apparently, so
Oh yeah, all right, there's always a town. There's a Cortland, New York.
that's weird. Is it
know.
spelled the same way or does it have a U in it?
It's actually spelled the same way.
Oh, that's weird.
I also have an apple named after me.
Is it good?
No, I don't think so. She started out her career in middle school doing modeling for department store catalogs and then commercials. And all I can think of is why do parents let their children do modeling? Like I've seen commercials of those top model youths where they're like 3 or 4 years
Oh,
old
the,
and just dolled up, and I'm
What do you
like,
call that?
those
Toddlers and tiaras?
yes, those parents need to be slapped. That is so stupid.
Okay, I've been told I was in a beauty pageant when I was a baby. I got second place.
Yeah, but I'm like,
I wouldn't do it. It's not something. It's not good for anybody. First of all, there's pervs there looking at your child. You know there is. And then, like, second of all, that's not a. That's let them look like a child. Why are you dolling?
and
them
it's
to look like
weird
an
that they
adult?
do it like there's so much drama where like these kids are sassy
And they're wearing
and
fake teeth.
a lot of times they're cussing and be like, I'm gonna beat that. I'm like,
Yeah, and they're wearing short little skirts and like a little tube top, and they're wearing flippers in their mouth, like fake teeth, and tons of makeup and stuff. Like, let a child be a child.
great. I mean, I was playing in dirt and making mud pies and eating all sorts of weird things that I shouldn't have been eating. All right, I don't know, dirt, dog food, cat food, bugs, money at some point in
And
time.
I was shooting guns in my backyard.
Yeah, all the good kid things. In 1984, at 17 years old, she left home to move to New York and pursue a modeling career that soon turned into acting, as I feel everything does. Oh, I'm going to go to the big city and be an actor.
A model slash actress.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like 17 is old enough where if you want to do modeling, cool. You know, but like middle school, no. I wouldn't.
No.
No.
And usually, like, you see all the movies, like, actually a really good movie is, like, Burlesque.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I kind of think of, because
It's
she
a
was
great
like a
movie.
singer and dancer. She moved to the big city to make it big and famous and couldn't. And then she,
It
found
doesn't
something
work out
else.
for everybody.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Works
But
out
it
for
actually,
you.
well, I don't think in the long run it quite worked out for Rebecca, as we'll read. But for the most part, I mean, it worked out for her career wise.
Yeah, I mean, but only like 1% of people make it. I feel like it's a big risk.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I'd say that was back in the day though. It's just like they have dreams to move to the big city and make it big.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't want to live in a big city.
no, I'm not a city person.
Are we
either.
too grown now to like think that's cool? To like move to a major city?
I don't know. I never wanted to. I was never been a city person.
I've always wanted to live in a city, but never like the city, like not New York or something.
Yeah, on
That's
the
mostly
outskirts.
because I lived in a field.
Oh yeah, same here. That's great. Your closest neighbor's like 3 miles down the road.
Yeah. Your fire department's volunteers and they don't even show up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's great. They don't get paid.
Her first regular TV role was on ABC's One Life to Live, and was still pursuing modeling, which was getting tougher to grow a career with since she was only 5'7".
So are we.
Yeah, I know, right? Short and proud.
I feel like I'm tall for a girl. But then like for her, it's short because you have to be like a supermodel, like 6 foot to make it
Oh, yeah.
modeling in like
Skinny,
New York.
skinny and tall.
Yeah.
After a 6-month stint with the ABC role, she started working as a waitress while looking for more steady modeling work. But when she appeared on the cover of 17 magazine, it caught the eye of a TV producer. Rebecca Schaeffer landed a regular role on the new comedy My Sister Sam, where she would play Patricia, aka Patty Russell. She was living in an apartment with 6 other girls during this time, not making much money, so her agent had to leave a note on her door saying that she got the role since her phone was disconnected, which that's got to be a pain. I mean,
Yeah.
at that point,
But if you don't have money,
yeah, but I mean that's a good agent, I suppose.
I guess, yeah, he's really out there
Right?
doing it.
You don't have phone, I ain't gonna take you.
But think about it though, you're like broke, living with 6 other people
Yeah.
in an apartment in New York, and then all of a sudden you're like, you're flying to LA. You got a new job.
But hey, I mean, that's all it takes is one good luck out in life. The show was canceled halfway through its second season in 1988, but it did get her living in LA, where there were much more opportunities, which is usually why every so often I used to move around a lot. Like, especially like I lived in up in bum junk nowhere in Florida, and then everyone always asked me why I moved to PA. Since, whatever. But compared to where I was living, there was a lot more opportunities up there.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Jacksonville.
And then I finally, got tired of it, and I'm like, I'm moving back. And then I moved back here.
Congrats, honey. Also, by this time, you guys, she was well known. People knew who she was because she was on a hit TV show. The first season was very popular. The second didn't really land as well. And the second season had 12 episodes that they recorded and never aired. So she was working at Warner Bros. Studio for a while on the set. So people knew who she was, and she was famous and getting fan mail by this time.
She did do 2 movies after her TV role and was supposed to read a part for The Godfather Part 3 the day of her death.
Also, she did actually, the movie Pretty Woman? I've never seen it, but I've heard about it, right? Everybody's heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
She actually was, I guess you say, thought about for that role, the lead role in that movie, but it actually ended up going to Julia Roberts. So she was getting good scripts at this time.
Now, shifting a little bit over to Robert John Bardo.
The piece of shit in the story.
Yep. He was born on January 2nd, 1970, and was the youngest of 7 siblings. One of his siblings would abuse him, which caused him to become a recluse and would be fixated on female celebrities to the point of one of his teachers labeling him a time bomb for disaster. Even writing them threatening letters and being hospitalized on 2 occasions for several emotional damages.
Okay, but if you think he's a time bomb, why don't you call somebody?
Yeah, right? Yeah, but at the time, I mean, what are they going to do?
I don't know. This kid's creepy and fucking scary. Say something, I guess. I'm allowed to judge people's faces when they're terrible people. He looks like a fucking creep.
Everybody looks like a creep to somebody.
Nah, this dude looks like a fucking creep.
His first celebrity fixation was Samantha Smith, who was a schoolgirl who wrote a letter trying to get peace between Russia and the U.S.
Like Cold War times.
Big ambitions right there.
A
on that
little
one.
child.
But she later died at just 13 from a plane crash, which is still the safest way to travel, statistically.
Yeah. But then I think about Aaliyah and I'm like,
Yeah. He wrote her countless letters and even went to go see her, but he was stopped before he even got to her.
Thankfully. I mean, she's literally a child.
Yeah.
And he's stalking a child. Who writes fan letters to a child? I mean, she was like 10 or 11 at the time she died after the letters and everything, but like, who is writing letters to a literal schoolgirl?
So Robert Bardo, at 16, saw the show My Sister Sam and fell in love with Rebecca's sweet, innocent sister character and began to find her older roles, as well as writing her letters constantly. Rebecca tried to reply to as many fan letters she received at the time and sent him one of her general replies, which was a signed headshot with a quick note to which his read, "Yours is one of the nicest letters I've received." He starts getting very obsessive and thought that if they met, they'd instantly fall in love.
That's not how people work.
Nope.
Also, I have a problem here because I feel like a lot of people fall in love with a character. People are acting.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not sweet and innocent or whatever you think they are. We don't know anything about most celebrities besides what they tweet.
However, I will say the whole hype nowadays with Jason and Jensen, the cast from Supernatural,
Okay.
right? Like you see like all the TikToks and stuff like that.
I don't.
And, okay, well,
I've never seen it.
I've seen how like they act in real life and stuff. They're hilarious.
I mean,
Like they're
people,
real. They seem, at least, I mean, they seem like really good people. They both have families. They both have kids,
well, I'm
wives.
sure so many celebrities
and
are
they're
good
just
people.
hilarious.
You know, I'm sure there's a ton of
It
good
is.
people in Hollywood. We just don't. You don't know their real personality until
Yeah.
you see them outside of a role.
Yeah.
Like back in the 80s, you only see what they put on TV.
Yeah.
Now you can actually see people. I feel like it's different, but also a character is a character. That's it.
He even gets so obsessive that it gets to the point that he even goes to Warner Bros. Studio lot trying to get to the set to see or meet Rebecca with a bunch of roses and a teddy bear, but was turned away.
Yeah, he drove all the way from Texas. Texas, I know everything happens in Texas.
He tried to get in again the next month and makes a lot of calls to Warner Bros. Trying to talk to her, but she never knew about this obsessive guy. They just
Right, they're
basically
not
just
gonna be
wrote
like,
him off.
there's this weirdo trying to call you. Do you want to answer the phone? No one's gonna do that. They're gonna be like, stalking happens with celebrities. We're not gonna tell anybody. We're just gonna forget it.
However, he slightly started going the right way. After his failure to meet Rebecca, Robert fixates on other women like Madonna, Debbie Gibson, which I have no clue who that is, and Tiffany, sending them all love letters until the 1989 film Class Struggle in Beverly Hills, starring Rebecca Schaeffer, which triggers rage inside of him because Rebecca's character is seen in bed beside of a man and decides to punish her for being another Hollywood whore.
Right, because they're a thing, right? You can't be in bed with another man.
right.
It's yours. So she's a whore because she's not the sweet, innocent person he thought she was on TV for a season and a half of a show.
That's how it all works.
I didn't know. I didn't know that made you a whore. I don't even know what makes you a whore nowadays.
So Bardo was inspired by Arthur Richard Jackson, who in 1982 stalked and stabbed actress Teresa Sodana after hiring a private investigator to get her address, which of course Teresa lived, thankfully. But because of this, he got the idea to do the same thing. Bardo paid $250 to a private investigator for Rebecca's home address from her DMV records. He then got his brother to help him obtain a .357 handgun.
Which I don't know how that is.
Essentially, it's a .357 mag. It's a slugger.
Okay.
Means it's designed, you shoot it and it's gonna stop somebody dead in their tracks. It's
Okay.
a heavy bullet. Bardo went back to LA for the third time to meet Rebecca, asking people around the neighborhood if she really lived at the address he was given. He rang her doorbell. She opened the door expecting the Godfather Part 3 script, and Bardo showed her the autograph note she sent him. So that's a very big difference.
Yeah. Oh, well, here's my script supposed to be reading for today versus, hey, you sent me a picture. Ew.
She had a polite conversation with him, then asked him to not visit her home again. Bardo left, had breakfast at a diner, then went back to knock on her door about an hour later. Bardo said she entered the door with, quote unquote, a cold look on her face. Then he shot her point blank in the chest in the doorway. She fell and just said, "Why?"
Yeah, it's a valid question.
Unfortunately, she died in the ER 30 minutes after arriving.
Yeah, her neighbor found her in the doorway.
Although it probably couldn't have taken long because, I mean, with that gun going, it's a loud gun.
Well, apparently he shot her point blank in the chest, but didn't touch her with the barrel. So I feel like that is a little bit of space between, but still, if it's heavy duty, you're gonna die, especially in the chest.
Oh, yeah. The trauma. Oh, yeah. Now, Robert John was arrested the next day after running through traffic on Interstate 10, and he confessed to the murder immediately.
So he's trying to get hit by cars.
Yes. Yeah. That was his thought.
Yeah. Technically, there is no evidence of the sting. If he wanted to get away with it, he probably could have. Other than like asking neighbors around town, if he hadn't done that, probably could have gotten away with it.
See, I don't know though, because I mean, he went to, well,
It's an apartment building, but she was the only one at the door.
how many years has it been since he went to Warner Bros. And started writing her and
But then again,
trying to call her and stuff like that?
but there was no stalking laws in place. People just brushed it off. No one saw it as stalking at the time.
What? Oh, okay. Well, it's still though. I mean, it would be a hit or miss. If anybody remembers that it was him, that would lead to him.
Yeah, but then again, what if you don't recall the dude? Like,
No,
trying to
exactly.
meet
That's
her?
what I'm saying. All it takes is just one person to remember, a name
Yeah.
or anything like that. He was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. He still talks about her constantly in prison and draws pictures of her even now. Years later, he draws other celebrity women too and sends them to people. In 1994, the Driver's Privacy Protection Act was enacted to stop the release of private addresses through DMV records, and in 1990, Rebecca's death was a point to help start the first U.S. anti-stalking laws.
Which don't work.
So basically, again, America, this dude commits murder, is caught for it, confesses to it, and he pretty much just lives his life in jail.
Drawing little pictures. He draws like Amanda Knox. He draws Rebecca Schaeffer, who he murdered. He should not be allowed to have a pen.
Like if there was no psych, like major, obviously they probably did a psych eval, maybe.
He does have bipolar.
Okay.
But honestly, so many people have that and they live normal freaking lives.
Yeah.
And he was diagnosed before this happened, so he was on medication. So there's no excuse for it. And there's no excuse in the first place. Bipolar does not make you murder someone and stalk them. I don't know. This case bothers me because it could happen to me, I am technically in the public eye. I've been stalked 3 times now.
So I have me.
I know, but I've been stalked 3 times now. 2 for YouTube reasons. No. 1 for YouTube reasons, 2 for personal
Let me
reasons.
install some programs I can track them.
Called the cops a million times on one of them and never did anything. I didn't know what to do. I was home alone and scared. There was a dude jerking off on my window with cum all over the window. Knocking on the windows and like trying to open them and stuff when I'm home alone in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, it's not ideal.
Yeah, but now you're here and you
And now I'm here, yeah. Like, one time I accidentally slept with a guy, right? Well, it was an accident. I did it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Well, okay. But it was absolutely horrible and I wanted to leave immediately. And then he stalked me literally up until like November of this year. And that was like a 1.5 years ago, like constantly. Like, you can block his number. He'll contact you on Instagram. He'll contact you on this. And like, I didn't want to block him on everything because like he knew where I lived and it was really uncomfortable.
So we used to have a Jack Russell that used to run around and run away a lot. I hated the crap. I hated it. But I'd always have to track it down, and luckily we had a lot of dirt roads around us and everything. I've done a lot of things, but I don't stalk people.
No, but you could if you wanted, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that hard.
You can stalk me if you want.
I live with you 24/7. What is there to stalk?
I don't know. Literally nothing. Azriel, maybe. See what she's up to. I'm really not that interesting. I don't understand why people stalk people anyways. If they're not interested, they're not interested. It seems like a lot of work and a lot of stuff to keep up with because you got to keep contacting them. It's just too much. All right, so thank you so much for joining us for today's case, you guys. It was so weird hearing him tell the story, but I really liked it. I love your voice.
I'm going to wait for the comments on YouTube.
Wait for the comments on YouTube?
Yeah.
But for what? How much they loved hearing your voice instead of mine? Because I have a draw and you don't?
Oh, yeah.
You mess up less. Like, I wrote the script and everything, but you messed up way less than I do. I usually like...
Well, it's because I take it slow, and normally when I read slower and I speak slower, but I read a little bit ahead, so I know it's coming.
Yeah, no, I even write the script and I'm like blah, 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 blah all the time. I'm just so bad at things. I get anxious about the words coming up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to say something else.
Well, I speak all the time now, apparently, in public, so...
Well, you do.
I teach.
Yeah, I mean, you do, but like... I mean, I speak to myself every day in front of a camera, but I'm not reading something. Reading, it's different. I get nervous. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us for today's case. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yes. Au revoir.